She raised her genius daughter alone until she asked for a signature. The billionaire CEO said, "Why?" The consulate said, "Father's consent required." The man stood frozen in the doorway. His expensive suit suddenly felt too tight. His carefully controlled expression cracked. The little girl looked up at him. She had dark curls pulled into a messy ponytail. Bright eyes that studied him with curiosity, not recognition. She tilted her head slightly when she was thinking. Exactly the way he did. His voice came out hoarse. "How old is she?" The woman standing protectively beside the child spoke quietly. Steadily. 9. The man's hands trembled. He clasped them together to hide it. "When?" Edith's voice did not waver. "You left in March. She was born in December." He did the math. His face went pale. "Why didn't you tell me?" "Because you said you couldn't promise anything more. And I wasn't going to make my daughter feel like an obligation." The little girl, Liana, looked between them. Confused but patient. Evan stared at the child. At the way her nose crinkled when she smiled. At the stubborn set of her jaw. At the intelligence in her eyes. He saw himself. Unmistakably. His voice broke. "She's mine." Edith stood. Her voice was firm now. "She's mine. I've raised her. Alone. For 9 years. You don't get to claim her just because you finally know she exists." Liana tugged on her mother's sleeve. "Mom, why is he upset?" Edith's eyes filled but did not spill. "Because sometimes adults have to talk about complicated things, baby. Why don't you go finish your homework? I'll be there in a minute." "Okay." Liana walked down the hallway. Glanced back once. Then disappeared into her room. The moment she was gone, Evan spoke. His voice raw. 9 years, Edith. You kept her from me for 9 years. Edith's voice was quiet but devastating. "No, Evan. You kept yourself from her. The moment you chose your company over us. Have you ever asked someone for help and realized it would cost you everything you built to stay safe? Have you ever seen a man discover he has a child and watch his entire world shatter in real time? This is the story of a mother who wanted one thing. A passport. And got a reckoning instead. Stay until the end to hear what the judge said when a billionaire tried to buy his way into a life he never knew existed. And to see what happens when a signature becomes the beginning of everything. If you believe that some truths wait until they have no choice but to speak, hit that like button right now. And subscribe to Mr. Ellington Love Lines, where every story proves that the past doesn't stay buried. It just waits for the right moment to surface. Let me take you back. Not to the confrontation. Not yet. Let me show you the life Edith built. The peace she fought for. And the single document that threatened to destroy it all. The life she built alone. Edith Lindell woke every morning at 5:47 a.m. 3 minutes before her alarm. Her body had learned the rhythm years ago. She rose quietly. Made coffee. Watched the sun come up over the small coastal town she had chosen specifically because it was far from everything she used to know. No skyscrapers. No marble lobbies. No men in expensive suits making promises they would not keep. Just water. Quiet. Safety. Her daughter, Liana, slept down the hall. 9 years old. Brilliant. Kind. The center of everything Edith had built. Edith worked 2 jobs. One as a freelance grant writer for nonprofits. One as a part-time bookkeeper for local businesses. The money was not extravagant. But it was enough. Enough for a small house with a yard. Enough for books and art supplies and the occasional science kit Liana devoured in a weekend. Enough to live without depending on anyone. Edith poured her coffee. Sat at the kitchen table. Opened her laptop. She had 3 grant proposals due this week. A budget review for the community center. And Liana's permission slip for the aquarium field trip. Normal. Manageable. Hers. At 6:30, she heard movement down the hall. Small feet padding across hardwood floors. Liana appeared in the doorway. Hair wild. Eyes still sleepy. Morning, Mom. Morning, baby. You're up early. I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about the science thing. Edith smiled. The invitational? Liana nodded. She walked over and climbed into the chair beside her mother. Do you really think I can go? Edith reached over. Smoothed her daughter's curls. You were chosen out of thousands of students, Liana. Of course you can go. But it's in another country. I know. And it costs money. We'll figure it out. Liana looked down at her hands. I don't want you to have to work extra. Edith's chest tightened. Her daughter was 9. She should not be worrying about money. You let me worry about that, okay? You just focus on being brilliant. Liana smiled. Small but genuine. Okay. They ate breakfast together. Cereal and fruit. Liana talked about her project. About polymers and chemical reactions and ideas that made Edith's head spin. Edith listened. Asked questions. Marveled at the mind her daughter had inherited. Not from her. Edith was smart. Organized. Practical. But Liana's mind worked differently. It saw patterns. Connections. Possibilities. She had gotten that from someone else. Edith pushed the thought away. She did not allow herself to think about him. Not anymore. After breakfast, Liana got dressed. Packed her backpack. Edith drove her to school. At the drop-off line, Liana unbuckled her seatbelt. Turned to her mother. Mom. Yeah, sweetheart. Do you ever think about my dad? Edith's hands tightened on the steering wheel. Her heart hammered. Why do you ask? Liana shrugged. Some kids at school were talking about their dads. And I wondered. Edith chose her words carefully. I think about a lot of things, Liana. But what matters most is us. You and me. We're a team. I know. But. Do you think he ever thinks about me? Edith's throat closed. She forced herself to meet her daughter's eyes. I don't know, baby. But I know this. You are loved. So much. And that's what matters. Liana nodded. Seemed to accept this. She leaned over. Kissed her mother's cheek. Love you, Mom. Love you too. Liana hopped out of the car. Waved. Ran toward the school entrance. Edith sat in the car for a long moment. Her hand still gripping the wheel. She had avoided this conversation for 9 years. But she knew it would not stay buried forever. Children asked questions. And Liana was too smart to accept vague answers indefinitely. Edith drove home. Went back to work. Tried to focus. But the question lingered. Do you think he ever thinks about me? The truth was, Edith did not know. And she had spent 9 years making sure she would never have to find out. The man she walked away from. 11 years earlier, Edith had been a different person. Younger. More open. Less careful. She worked as an executive assistant at a consulting firm. The pay was decent. The work was interesting. The people were smart. One of those people was Evan Harlowe. He was not a billionaire yet. But he was on his way. He had just launched his third startup. Investors were circling. The press was starting to notice. He walked into the consulting firm's office for a strategy meeting. Edith was assigned to coordinate the logistics. She remembered the first time she saw him. He wore a dark suit but no tie. His hair was slightly too long. He moved with the kind of confidence that came from knowing he was the smartest person in any room. He was also kind. At least, he seemed to be. He thanked her for the coffee. Remembered her name. Asked her opinion on the presentation setup. Small things. But they mattered. After the meeting, he lingered. "You're good at this." Edith looked up from her tablet. "At what?" "At making chaos look organized." She smiled. "That's literally my job." "Still. You do it well." He handed her his card. "If you ever want to do it for a company that's actually going somewhere, call me." She did not call. But 3 weeks later, he came back. Not for a meeting. For her. He asked her to dinner. She said yes. The dinner turned into a walk. The walk turned into coffee. Coffee turned into hours of conversation that made the city blur around them. Evan was brilliant. Driven. He talked about ideas like they were living things. He saw the future in a way that made Edith want to believe in it too. Within a month, they were inseparable. Edith had never felt anything like it. The way he looked at her. The way he listened when she spoke. The way he made her feel like she mattered. But there were cracks. Small at first. He canceled plans. Often. Always for work. He talked about the future in abstract terms. Never about their future specifically. He was generous with time when he had it. But he rarely had it. Edith told herself it was temporary. That once his company stabilized, things would balance out. They did not. 2 years in, Edith realized she was building a life around someone who had not made space for her in his. She loved him. Deeply. But love was not enough when the person you loved could not choose you. One night, after he canceled their weekend plans for the third time in a month, Edith asked him a question. They were sitting in his apartment. Expensive furniture. Floor-to-ceiling windows. A view of the city he was conquering. "Evan, where is this going?" He looked up from his laptop. "What do you mean?" "Us. Where are we going?" He closed the laptop. Walked over to her. "I love you, Edith. I know. But that's not what I asked." He hesitated. And in that hesitation, Edith saw the answer. "I can't promise anything more right now. The company is at a critical stage. I need to focus." Edith's heart broke cleanly. "So I'm a distraction." "No. You're not. But I can't give you what you need. Not yet." "When?" "I don't know." Edith stood. "Then I can't stay." "Edith, wait." "No. I've been waiting, Evan. For 2 years. Waiting for you to make space for me. To choose me. And you can't. Or you won't. Either way, I'm done." She left that night. He called. Texted. Sent flowers. But he did not change. And 3 weeks later, Edith realized she was pregnant. She sat on the bathroom floor. Staring at the test. Her hands shaking. She thought about calling him. Telling him. Giving him the chance to step up. But she already knew what would happen. He would feel obligated. He would try to make it work. But resentment would grow. And the child would feel it. Edith could not let her daughter grow up feeling like a burden. So she made a choice. The hardest choice of her life. She disappeared. Changed her number. Moved to a different city. Started over. And she never told Evan Harlowe that he was going to be a father. The girl with the brilliant mind. Liana Lindell was not like other 9-year-olds. She did not watch cartoons. She watched documentaries about ocean ecosystems and space exploration. She did not play with dolls. She built circuits and grew crystals and asked questions that made adults pause. Her teachers called her gifted. Edith called her extraordinary. But what Edith loved most about Liana was not her intelligence. It was her kindness. Liana noticed when people were sad. She shared her lunch with classmates who forgot theirs. She wrote thank you notes to her teachers at the end of every year. She was brilliant. But she was also good. One afternoon, Liana came home waving a glossy brochure. Mom! Mom, look! Edith was at the stove, making dinner. She turned. What is it? Liana handed her the brochure. It was professionally printed. Heavy paper. A logo at the top. International Youth Science Invitational. Edith scanned the text. Her eyes widened. Liana, this is a big deal. I know. Only 10 students in the whole country got invited. You're one of them. Liana nodded, her eyes bright. My teacher nominated me. They looked at my project on biodegradable polymers. And they picked me. Edith pulled her daughter into a tight hug. I'm so proud of you. Liana hugged her back. So I can go. Edith pulled back. Read the brochure more carefully. The invitational was in Geneva. All expenses covered except travel. When is it? Next year, but all submissions is in 10 weeks. Edith's mind raced. She would need to arrange time off. Figure out travel logistics. Make sure Liana had everything she needed. We'll make it work. Really? Really? Liana grinned. Then ran to her room to start planning. Edith sat down at the kitchen table. Read the brochure again. This was an incredible opportunity. Life-changing. But it required international travel. Which required a passport. Edith opened her laptop. Googled passport requirements for minors. Her stomach dropped. Both parents must consent. Or, if one parent is unavailable, proof of sole custody or a notarized letter of consent. Edith's hands went cold. She had full custody. Legally. Evan's name was on the birth certificate, but he had never been involved. Never filed for custody. Never even knew. But the consulate would not care about that. They would see a father's name. And they would require his consent. Edith closed the laptop. Pressed her hands to her face. She had built a life that did not include Evan Harlowe. Now, to give her daughter the opportunity she deserved, she had no choice but to bring him back in. The passport office, the wall, and the truth. 2 weeks later, Edith sat in the passport office. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead. The clerk was polite but detached. Edith handed over the application. The photos. Liana's birth certificate. The clerk reviewed everything. Then paused. I see the father is listed on the birth certificate. Yes. We'll need his consent. Or documentation showing you have sole legal authority. I do have sole custody. He's never been involved. Do you have a court order reflecting that? Edith hesitated. No. He doesn't know about her. The clerk's expression did not change. But her tone shifted slightly. Then you'll need to either obtain his consent or file for a court-ordered exemption. Without one of those, I can't process this. How long does the exemption take? It depends. Could be weeks. Could be months. Edith's chest tightened. I don't have months. She has a trip in 10 weeks. Then I suggest you contact the father. Edith left the office in a daze. She sat in her car. Stared at the steering wheel. For 9 years, she had avoided this. For 9 years, she had kept Liana safe from the chaos that was Evan's world. But now, she had no choice. She pulled out her phone. Opened a search engine. Typed his name. Evan Harlowe. The results flooded the screen. Articles. Interviews. Photos of him at galas and conferences. He looked older. More polished. But the same. She found his company's website. Clicked on the contact page. Her hands shook as she typed. Evan, this is Edith Lindell. I know it's been a long time. I need to speak with you. It's important. Please call me. She added her number. Hit send before she could change her mind. Then she sat in the car. Waiting. 3 hours later, her phone rang. Unknown number. She answered. Hello. Edith. His voice. The same voice. A decade older but unmistakable. Yes. It's Evan. I got your message. What's going on? Edith took a breath. I need your help with something. With what? She closed her eyes. I need you to sign a passport consent form. A passport? For who? Silence. Then Evan's voice, sharper now. Edith, what's going on? She forced the words out. For our daughter. The line went silent. Completely silent. Then Evan's voice, barely audible. What? Her name is Liana. She's 9 years old. And she needs a passport for a school trip. Another long silence. Then Evan's voice, raw. You have a daughter. We have a daughter. And you never told me. Edith's voice was steady but quiet. You said you couldn't promise anything more. I wasn't going to make her an obligation. So you just disappeared? Yes. For 9 years? Yes. Evan's voice rose. Edith, you can't just. I can. And I did. And I would do it again. The line went quiet. Then Evan spoke. His voice controlled but shaking underneath. I want to meet her. Edith's stomach dropped. Evan. I want to meet her, Edith. You kept her from me for 9 years. You don't get to keep her from me now. This isn't about you. It's about both of us. And her. I have a right. You have no rights. You have biology. That's it. Evan's voice went cold. Then I won't sign. Edith's breath caught. What? You want my signature? Then I want to meet my daughter. Edith's voice shook with fury. You're going to use her passport as leverage. You used her entire existence as leverage for 9 years. Edith wanted to scream. To hang up. To tell him to go to hell. But she needed that signature. Fine. One meeting. That's it. When? This weekend. Where? My place. And Evan? Yeah. If you hurt her, I will make sure you regret it. I'm not going to hurt her, Edith. I just want to meet her. Edith hung up. Sat in the car. Her hands shaking. She had opened the door she swore she would never open. And she had no idea what would come through it. Evan's shocked response. Evan Harlowe sat in his office. The phone still in his hand. His mind blank. A daughter. He had a daughter. For 9 years, she had existed. grown, lived. And he had known nothing. His assistant knocked. "Mr. Harlowe, your 4 o'clock is here." Evan did not respond. "Sir." "Cancel it." "But." "Cancel everything. For the rest of the week." The assistant hesitated. Then nodded. "Yes, sir." Evan sat alone, staring out the window at the city below. He thought about Edith. About the way she had left. The way he had let her. He had told himself it was for the best. That he was not ready. That his company needed him. But the truth was simpler. He had been a coward. And now, a decade later, he was paying for it. He pulled up a search engine. Typed Edith Lindell. Found almost nothing. A few old social media profiles. Inactive. No recent photos. No indication of where she lived or what she did. She had disappeared completely. He tried Liana Lindell. Nothing. She had kept their daughter hidden. Intentionally. Evan's jaw tightened. He understood why. But understanding did not make it hurt less. He had missed everything. First steps. First words. First day of school. 9 years. Gone. He picked up his phone. Called his lawyer. "James, I need you to look into something." "What is it?" "I just found out I have a daughter. I need to know my rights." The lawyer was silent for a moment. "How old?" 9. "And the mother?" "Edith Lindell. We were together. She left without telling me she was pregnant." "Do you have proof of paternity?" "My name is on the birth certificate." "Apparently. Then you have rights. Custody. Visitation. Support obligations." "I don't care about obligations. I want to meet her." "You'll need to proceed carefully. If the mother has been the sole caregiver for 9 years, a court will favor stability. I'm not trying to take her away. I just want to be involved. Then I suggest you start slow. Meet the child. Build a relationship. Don't push." Evan nodded. "Okay." After he hung up, he sat in silence. He had built a billion-dollar company. Managed thousands of employees. Negotiated deals that moved markets. But he had no idea how to be a father. And in 3 days, he would meet the daughter he never knew existed. If you've ever realized that the thing you avoided became the thing you needed most, drop a comment and tell me how you faced it. And if this story is reminding you that some doors don't stay closed no matter how tightly you lock them, hit that subscribe button. Because we are about to see where everything collides. And you don't want to miss what happens when a billionaire meets the daughter he never knew he had. The meeting that changes everything. Saturday arrived too quickly. Edith spent the morning cleaning. Not because the house was dirty. But because she needed to do something with her hands. Liana noticed. "Mom, why are you vacuuming again?" "You already did that." Edith set down the vacuum. "Just making sure everything's nice." "For who?" Edith took a breath. She had been dreading this conversation. "Sweetheart, come sit with me for a minute." Liana sat on the couch. Looked at her mother with those bright, curious eyes. "What's wrong?" "Nothing's wrong. I need to tell you something." "Okay." Edith chose her words carefully. "Do you remember when you asked me about your dad?" Liana nodded slowly. "Yeah. Well. He's coming to visit today." Liana's eyes widened. "Really?" "Yes." "Why?" "Because. He wants to meet you." "Does he know about me now?" "Yes." Liana was quiet for a moment. Processing. Then why didn't he know before? Edith's throat tightened. Because I didn't tell him. And that was my choice. Not his. Why didn't you tell him? Because. It's complicated, sweetheart. But I want you to know that it wasn't because of you. You are the best thing that ever happened to me. Liana nodded. Then asked the question Edith had been dreading. Is he nice? Edith exhaled. I don't know who he is now, baby. But a long time ago, he was. Complicated. Do I have to like him? No. You don't have to feel anything you don't feel. Okay. Okay. At exactly 2 p.m., there was a knock at the door. Edith's heart hammered. She walked to the door. Opened it. Evan stood on the porch. He wore jeans and a sweater. No suit. No tie. He looked nervous. Edith. Evan. They stood in awkward silence. Then Evan spoke. Can I come in? Edith stepped aside. Evan entered. Looked around. The house was small. Cozy. Nothing like the luxury he lived in. But it was warm. Lived in. Loved. Liana appeared in the hallway. She stopped when she saw him. Evan turned. Saw her. And the world stopped. She looked exactly like him. The eyes. The jawline. The way she tilted her head when she was uncertain. His breath caught. His hands trembled. Liana walked over slowly. Stood beside her mother. Hi. Evan's voice came out hoarse. Hi. They stared at each other. Then Liana spoke again. Are you my dad? Evan's eyes filled. Yes. I am. Liana nodded. Studied him. Mom says you didn't know about me. I didn't. But I do now. Are you mad? Evan shook his head. No. I'm grateful I get to meet you. Liana seemed to accept this. Do you want to sit down? Evan almost laughed. This 9-year-old was more composed than he was. Yes. Thank you. They sat in the living room. Edith stayed close to Liana. Protective. Evan did not know where to start. So he asked the simplest question. What do you like to do? Liana's face lit up. I like science. Chemistry mostly. But also physics. And I'm learning about marine biology. Evan smiled. That's amazing. I'm going to an international science thing. In Geneva. If I can get my passport. She looked at her mother. Edith's expression was carefully neutral. Evan's chest tightened. This was why Edith had reached out. Not because she wanted him involved. But because she needed something. I'll sign whatever you need. Edith's eyes met his. Surprise flickered across her face. Thank you. They talked for another hour. Liana asked Evan questions. What he did for work. Where he lived. If he liked science. Evan answered honestly. He did not try to impress her. He just talked. And slowly, Liana began to relax. When it was time for Evan to leave, Liana walked him to the door. Will you come back? Evan looked at Edith. She did not answer. Just watched. He looked back at Liana. I'd like to. If that's okay with you. Liana nodded. Okay. Evan left. Sat in his car. And cried. Not because he was sad. But because he had just met his daughter. And she was perfect. And he had missed 9 years of her life. Inside, Edith held Liana. What do you think? Liana's voice was thoughtful. I think. He seems sad. He is. Because of me? No, sweetheart. Because of choices he made a long time ago. Do you think he'll come back? Edith's voice was quiet. I think he will. Is that okay? Edith pulled her daughter closer. I don't know yet, baby. But we'll figure it out together. The storm. Lawyers, accusations, and fear. 3 days after the meeting, Evan called Edith. She answered cautiously. Hello. Edith, it's Evan. I've been thinking about Liana. About what I missed. I want to be involved. Edith's chest tightened. Involved how? I want to see her. Regularly. I want to be part of her life. Evan, you can't just. I'm her father, Edith. You're a name on a birth certificate. That's it. That's not fair. Fair. You want to talk about fair? Where were you when I was pregnant and terrified? Where were you when she was born? When she had colic and I didn't sleep for 3 months? When she took her first steps? Fair doesn't live here, Evan. His voice was strained. I didn't know. Because I didn't tell you. I know. But that doesn't change the fact that you weren't there. And now you can't just walk in and demand a relationship. I'm not demanding. I'm asking. Edith took a breath. I'll think about it. How long? I don't know. As long as I need. Edith, please. She hung up. 2 days later, Edith received an email from a law firm she had never heard of. Her hands shook as she opened it. Dear M.S. Lindell, we represent Evan Harlowe in matters relating to his parental rights regarding the minor child, Liana Lindell. Mr. Harlowe has requested formal acknowledgement of paternity and the establishment of a custody arrangement. We ask that you contact us at your earliest convenience to discuss terms. Edith read it 3 times. Her vision blurred. He had brought in lawyers. She called him immediately. He answered on the first ring. Edith. What the hell is this? What? The email from your lawyers. You're suing me for custody. I'm not suing you. I'm trying to establish my rights. By threatening me? I'm not threatening you. I'm trying to formalize things. We don't need to formalize anything. You wanted to meet her. You met her. That's it. That's not enough. It has to be. Edith, I have rights. You have biology. That's not the same thing. Legally, it is. Edith's voice broke. You're going to take me to court. I don't want to. But if you won't let me be part of her life, I have no choice. You always have a choice, Evan. You just keep making the wrong ones. She hung up. Then she sat on the floor and cried. She had known this might happen. But knowing and experiencing were different. She called the only person she trusted. Her best friend, Nina, answered immediately. Edith? What's wrong? Edith explained everything. The passport. The meeting. The lawyers. Nina was silent for a moment. You need a lawyer. I can't afford a lawyer. You can't afford not to have one. 2 days later, Edith sat in a small legal aid office. The attorney, a woman named Claire Montez, reviewed the documents. He's not suing for full custody. Just for formal recognition and visitation rights. What does that mean? It means he wants to be legally recognized as her father. And he wants scheduled time with her. Can he do that? Claire nodded. Yes. If he can prove paternity, which won't be hard since his name is on the birth certificate, he has a legal right to petition for custody or visitation. Even though he's never been involved. Even then. The court's priority is the child's best interest. And generally, that includes having both parents involved if possible. Edith's voice was quiet. What if I think he'll hurt her? Physically? No. Emotionally? He's not stable. He's obsessed with his work. He won't be consistent. Claire leaned forward. The court will consider that. But you'll need to prove it. And Edith, inconsistency alone won't be enough to deny him access. So he just gets to walk in and be her father. After 9 years. I know it feels unfair. But from a legal standpoint, he does have rights. Edith's hands clenched. What do I do? You cooperate. But you set boundaries. You propose a gradual visitation schedule. Supervised at first. And you make it clear that Liana's stability is the priority. And if he doesn't agree? Then we go to court. And we let a judge decide. Edith left the office feeling hollowed out. That night, she sat Liana down. Sweetheart, I need to talk to you about something important. Liana looked up from her homework. Okay. Evan. Your dad. He wants to spend more time with you. Liana's expression was cautious. Like, visit again? Yes. Maybe. Regularly. How often? We don't know yet. We're trying to figure that out. Do I have to? Edith's heart broke. No, baby. You don't have to do anything you don't want to do. But he does want to get to know you. And I think it might be good for you to get to know him too. Liana was quiet. What if I don't like him? Then we'll talk about it. And we'll figure it out together. Liana nodded slowly. Okay. Edith pulled her close. I'm not going anywhere, okay? No matter what happens with your dad, you and me. We're solid. I know, Mom. But Edith could see the worry in her daughter's eyes. And she hated Evan for putting it there. Over the next 2 weeks, emails flew back and forth between lawyers. Evan wanted every other weekend. Edith countered with once a month, supervised. Evan wanted school holidays. Edith said no. Evan wanted to be listed as an emergency contact. Edith refused. Finally, Claire called. He's filing a petition. We're going to court. Edith's stomach dropped. When? Hearing is in 3 weeks. Edith felt the walls closing in. What do I need to do? Tell the truth. Show that you've been a good mother. Show that you're not trying to keep him away out of spite, but out of genuine concern for Liana's well-being. And if the judge doesn't believe me? Claire's voice was gentle. Then we deal with it. But Edith, you're a good mother. That's going to matter. 3 weeks felt like 3 days. Edith gathered documents. School records. Medical records. Proof of stability. She asked Liana's teacher for a letter. The teacher wrote a glowing recommendation. She asked Nina to be a character witness. Nina agreed immediately. And she tried to prepare Liana for what might happen. One night, Liana asked a question that made Edith's heart stop. Mom, if the judge says I have to live with him, will I? Edith pulled her daughter into her lap. No, sweetheart. That's not going to happen. How do you know? Because I will fight with everything I have to make sure you stay with me. You are my whole world, Liana. And no judge is going to take you away from me. Liana buried her face in her mother's shoulder. I don't want to leave you. You won't. I promise. But even as she said it, Edith felt a thread of fear she could not shake. Because promises were fragile things. And the law did not always care about love. The night before the hearing, Edith could not sleep. She lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, thinking about everything that could go wrong. What if the judge sided with Evan? What if he decided that a billionaire could provide better opportunities than a single mother working 2 jobs? What if Liana was forced into a life Edith could not protect her from? At 2 a.m. Edith got up, walked to Liana's room, stood in the doorway. Her daughter was asleep. Peaceful. Safe. Edith made a silent vow. Whatever happened tomorrow, she would not let Evan destroy the life they had built. The courtroom reckoning. The family court was smaller than Edith expected. Plain walls. Fluorescent lights. A feeling of bureaucracy rather than justice. Edith sat at a table with Claire. Across the aisle, Evan sat with his attorney, a sharp-looking man in an expensive suit. Evan glanced at her once. She did not look back. The bailiff called the room to order. All rise. The Honorable Judge Teresa Callahan presiding. Everyone stood. The judge entered. A woman in her 50s with graying hair and a no-nonsense expression. Be seated. They sat. The judge reviewed the file. This is a petition for establishment of paternity and visitation rights. Mr. Harlowe, you're requesting formal recognition as the father of the minor child, Liana Lindell, and a custody arrangement. Is that correct? Evan stood. Yes, Your Honor. And Ms. Lindell, you oppose this? Claire stood. Not entirely, Your Honor. Ms. Lindell does not oppose the establishment of paternity. However, she has concerns about the proposed visitation schedule and believes any arrangement should be gradual and prioritize the child's emotional stability. The judge made a note. Understood. Mr. Harlowe, you may present your case. Evan's attorney stood. Your Honor, my client only recently learned of his daughter's existence. For 9 years, he was denied the opportunity to be a father. He's not seeking to disrupt the child's life. He simply wants to be part of it. He's financially stable, emotionally committed, and ready to provide support and involvement. The judge looked at Evan. Mr. Harlowe, why did you not know about your daughter for 9 years? Evan stood again. Because Ms. Lindell chose not to tell me. When we ended our relationship, she disappeared. I had no idea she was pregnant. Did you attempt to contact her after the relationship ended? Evan hesitated. No, Your Honor. I thought it was over. I didn't know there was a reason to reach out. The judge made another note. Ms. Montez, your response. Claire stood. Your Honor, Ms. Lindell made a difficult choice 9 years ago. When she told Mr. Harlowe she needed more commitment, he told her he couldn't promise anything. She was pregnant and faced with the reality that the father of her child was not prepared to be a parent. Rather than force an obligation, she chose to raise her daughter independently. She's done so successfully. Liana is thriving. She's academically gifted, emotionally healthy, and deeply bonded with her mother. The judge looked at Edith. Ms. Lindell, do you believe Mr. Harlowe poses a danger to your daughter? Edith stood. Her voice was steady. Not a physical danger, Your Honor. But I'm concerned about emotional harm. Mr. Harlowe is extremely focused on his career. I worry that he'll be inconsistent. That he'll make promises to Liana and then break them when work takes priority. The judge nodded. Have you proposed a visitation schedule? Yes, Your Honor. Supervised visits once a month to start. Gradually increasing based on how Liana adjusts. And you, Mr. Harlowe? What do you propose? Evan's attorney answered. Every other weekend. Alternating holidays. The standard custody arrangement. The judge leaned back. This is not a standard custody case. Mr. Harlowe, you've been absent for the entirety of this child's life. Not by choice, I understand. But absence is absence. You don't get to step in and claim equal footing with a mother who has been the sole caregiver for 9 years. Evan's jaw tightened. Your Honor, I'm not trying to replace her mother. I just want to know my daughter. And you will. But on a timeline that prioritizes Liana's needs, not your convenience. The judge turned to her clerk. I'm ordering a home study and a child psychologist evaluation. I want to hear from Liana herself. Age appropriately. About what she wants. Evan's attorney stood. Your Honor, with respect, the child is 9 years old. She can't make these decisions. She can't make the final decision. But her voice matters. We'll reconvene in 6 weeks. The gavel fell. Edith exhaled. It was not a victory. But it was not a loss either. Outside the courtroom, Evan approached her. Edith. She kept walking. Please. Just. Can we talk? She stopped. Turned. What do you want, Evan? I want to fix this. You can't fix 9 years. I know. But I can try to do better going forward. Edith's voice was quiet. Do you know what Liana asked me last night? She asked if the judge was going to make her live with you. Evan's face went pale. I would never. But she doesn't know that. Because she doesn't know you. And now you're forcing her into a relationship she didn't ask for. I'm her father. You're a stranger who shares her DNA. Evan flinched. Edith continued. If you really want to be her father, you have to earn it. Not in a courtroom. With her. By showing up. Consistently. Without conditions. I will. We'll see. She walked away. Evan stood alone in the courthouse hallway. And for the first time, he wondered if he was making everything worse. The home study and the psychologist. 2 weeks later, a social worker named Denise Kim arrived at Edith's house. She was kind but thorough. She toured the home. Asked about routines. Reviewed Liana's school records. Then she sat down with Liana. Hi, Liana. I'm Denise. I'm here to talk to you about your family. Is that okay? Liana nodded. Okay. How do you feel about living here with your mom? I like it. It's quiet. And Mom lets me do my experiments in the garage. Denise smiled. That's great. Do you feel safe here? Yes. Do you have friends? People you trust? I have my friend Zoe. And my teacher, Ms. Paulson. And my mom's friend Nina. That's good. Now, can I ask you about your dad? Liana's expression shifted. More guarded. Okay. How do you feel about him? Liana thought about it. I don't really know him. He seems nice. But also kind of sad. Why do you think he's sad? Because he missed a lot. That's what Mom says. How do you feel about that? I don't know. Sometimes I wonder what it would have been like if he was around. But mostly I don't think about it. Would you like to see him more? Liana hesitated. Maybe. But I don't want things to change with me and Mom. What if seeing your dad didn't change things with your mom? What if you could have both? Liana's voice was small. Is that possible? I think so. If everyone works together. After the interview, Denise sat with Edith. She's a remarkable child. Thank you. She's also anxious. About change. About losing stability. I know. But she's open to a relationship with her father. Cautiously. If it's done right. What does that mean? It means slow. Supervised at first. Building trust over time. Edith nodded. That's what I've been saying. I know. And I'll reflect that in my report. The psychologist, Dr. Lena Ortiz, met with Liana a week later. Her approach was gentler. More playful. She used drawing and storytelling to help Liana express her feelings. At the end of the session, she met with both Edith and Evan separately. To Edith, she said, "Liana is well-adjusted. But she's also anxious about disappointing people. She wants to make everyone happy. That's a lot of pressure for a 9-year-old. What should I do?" Keep reassuring her that she doesn't have to choose. That loving her father doesn't mean loving you less. To Evan, she said, "Liana is curious about you. But she's also wary. You represent change. And change is scary for kids who've had stability. How do I show her I'm not going to hurt her? By being patient. By not pushing. By showing up even when it's hard. I can do that." Good. Because if you don't, you'll lose her before you ever really have her. 6 weeks later, they returned to court. The judge reviewed the reports. Both evaluations recommend a gradual introduction. Supervised visits to start. With the understanding that this is a long-term process. She looked at Evan. "Mr. Harlowe, are you prepared to commit to that?" Evan stood. "Yes, Your Honor. Even if it takes months. Years? Yes." "And Ms. Lindell, are you willing to facilitate a relationship between Liana and her father?" Edith stood. "Yes, Your Honor. As long as it's done in a way that protects her." The judge made her ruling. "I'm granting Mr. Harlowe supervised visitation. 2 hours, twice a month, at a neutral location. After 6 months, we'll reconvene and assess progress. If things are going well, we'll expand the schedule. If not, we'll reassess." She looked at both of them. "This is not about what either of you want. It's about what Liana needs. And what she needs is stability, patience, and adults who put her first. Can you both do that?" Edith and Evan answered in unison. "Yes, Your Honor." Good. Court is adjourned. Outside, Evan approached Edith again. "Thank you." "For what?" "For not fighting harder. For giving me a chance." Edith's voice was firm. "I didn't do it for you. I did it for her. I know. But still. Thank you." Edith nodded. "Don't make me regret it." "I won't." The passport, the signature, and the shift. A week after the court ruling, Edith and Evan met at a coffee shop. Neutral ground. Public enough to feel safe. Edith brought the passport consent form. She slid it across the table. Evan picked it up. "Read it carefully." Then he pulled out a pen. Edith watched as he signed. His hand was steady. When he finished, he slid it back to her. "Thank you." Evan's voice was quiet. "She deserves this opportunity." "She does." They sat in silence for a moment. Then Evan spoke. "I've been thinking about what the judge said. About putting Liana first." Edith nodded. And I realize I don't know how to do that. I've spent my whole life putting work first. I don't know how to be a father." Edith's expression softened slightly. "None of us know how to be parents until we are. You just show up. And you try. And you apologize when you mess up. What if I mess up a lot? Then you keep apologizing. And you keep showing up." Evan met her eyes. "I'm scared I'm going to hurt her." "You probably will. Not on purpose. But parenting is full of mistakes. The difference is whether you own them." Evan nodded slowly. "I want to do this right. Then listen to her. Not to your lawyers. Not to your ego. To her. Okay. Edith stood. The first visit is this Saturday. 2 o'clock. At the community center. I'll be there. Don't be late. I won't. Edith left. Evan sat alone with the signed form. He had signed a lot of documents in his life. Contracts worth millions. Deals that changed industries. But this was different. This was not about building an empire. It was about building a relationship. And for the first time in his life, Evan was not sure he knew how. The first supervised visit. Saturday arrived. Evan was at the community center at 1:45. 15 minutes early. The supervisor, a kind woman named Margaret, greeted him. Mr. Harlowe, thank you for being punctual. Liana and her mother should be here shortly. Evan nodded. He felt like he was about to give the most important presentation of his life. At exactly 2 o'clock, Edith and Liana arrived. Liana looked nervous. She held her mother's hand tightly. Edith knelt beside her. You okay, sweetheart? Liana nodded. I'll be right outside, okay? If you need me, just ask Margaret. Okay. Edith kissed her forehead. Then left. Margaret gestured to a table in the corner. Why don't you two sit down? I'll be over here if you need anything. Evan and Liana sat. For a long moment, neither spoke. Then Evan broke the silence. Thank you for coming. Liana shrugged. Mom said I should give you a chance. That's fair. Another silence. Then Liana asked a question. Why didn't you know about me? Evan had prepared for this. But preparation did not make it easier. Because your mom didn't tell me. And I understand why. I wasn't ready to be a father back then. I was focused on work. I wouldn't have been a good dad. Are you ready now? Evan's voice was honest. I don't know. But I want to try. Liana studied him. What if you're still not good at it? Then I'll keep trying until I am. Liana seemed to accept this. What do you want to do? Evan had brought a bag. He pulled out a science kit. I heard you like chemistry. I thought maybe we could build something together. Liana's eyes lit up. What is it? A crystal growing kit. Liana reached for the box. Read the instructions. This is cool. They spent the next hour building. Mixing solutions. Setting up the structure. Liana explained the science behind it. Evan listened. Asked questions. At one point, Liana laughed at something Evan said. A real laugh. Evan's chest tightened. It was the best sound he had ever heard. When the visit ended, Liana seemed reluctant to leave. Can we do this again? Evan looked at Margaret. She nodded. Yes. In 2 weeks. Liana smiled. Okay. Edith was waiting outside. Liana ran to her. Mom, we made crystals. It was so cool. Edith smiled. That's great, sweetheart. Evan approached. She's incredible. Edith's voice was cautious. I know. Thank you. For letting me do this. Just. Keep showing up. I will. Over the next 3 months, the visits continued. Evan was never late. He always came prepared. He listened when Liana talked. And slowly, carefully, a relationship began to form. Liana started calling him by his name. Not Dad. But Evan. And that was okay. At the 6-month review, the judge read the reports. Both the supervisor and the psychologist recommend expanding the visitation schedule. Liana is adjusting well. Mr. Harlowe has been consistent and appropriate. She looked at them. I'm approving unsupervised visits. 4 hours, twice a month. We'll review again in 6 months. Evan's face broke into a smile. Thank you, Your Honor. The judge's voice was firm. Don't make me regret this. I won't. After court, Evan turned to Edith. I know this is hard for you. Edith's voice was quiet. It is. But Liana is happy. And that's what matters. I meant what I said. I'm not going to let her down. Good. And Edith. I'm sorry. For everything. For not being ready. For making you feel like you had to do this alone. Edith met his eyes. I appreciate that. But apologies are just words. What matters is what you do now. I know. Then show me. New boundaries, new roles, new beginnings. The first unsupervised visit, Evan picked up Liana from Edith's house. He rang the doorbell. Liana answered. Hi, Evan. Hi. You ready? Yeah. Let me get my jacket. Edith appeared in the hallway. Where are you two going? The Science Museum. Liana said she wanted to see the new marine biology exhibit. Edith looked at Liana. That okay with you, sweetheart? Liana nodded. Yeah. It sounds fun. Edith handed Evan a list. Her allergies. Emergency contacts. When to be back. Evan took the list. I'll take care of her. I know. But Edith's eyes said something else. Hurt her and I will never forgive you. Evan nodded. Understanding. They spent 4 hours at the museum. Liana was in heaven. She asked a million questions. Read every plaque. Took notes in a small notebook. Evan just watched. Amazed. At the end of the day, he drove her home. As they pulled up, Liana spoke. Thank you. That was really fun. I'm glad. Can we do it again? Absolutely. Liana hesitated. Then spoke. Evan. Yeah. I'm glad you came back. Evan's throat tightened. Me too. When Liana went inside, Edith met him at the door. How was it? Good. Really good. She had fun. I think so. Edith nodded. Thank you. For being patient with her. Thank you. For giving me the chance. They stood in awkward silence. Then Edith spoke. I'm not going to lie and say this is easy. Sharing her with you. But. I can see that you're trying. And that matters. I am trying. And I'm going to keep trying. Good. Over the next year, their co-parenting arrangement solidified. Evan saw Liana twice a month. They went to museums. Did science projects. Talked about school. He attended her science fair. Sat in the audience and clapped when she won first place. He started a college fund. Not to show off. But because he wanted to contribute. And slowly, Liana started to trust him. One day, 6 months later, Liana asked him a question. Can I call you Dad? Evan's breath caught. You can call me whatever you're comfortable with. But is it okay if I call you Dad? Evan's eyes filled. Yes. I'd like that. Liana smiled. Okay. Dad. When Evan told Edith, she cried. Not because she was sad. But because her daughter finally had what she had always deserved. A father who showed up. 1 year after the passport. Liana returned from her trip to Geneva. She was exhausted but glowing. Edith picked her up from the airport. How was it? Liana talked for the entire drive home. About the experiments. The other students. The scientists she met. When they got home, there was a package waiting. Liana opened it. Inside was a framed photo of her and Evan at the Science Museum. The note said, "I'm proud of you. Love, Dad." Liana smiled. That night, Edith called Evan. "She got your gift. Did she like it?" "She loved it." "Good." Edith took a breath. "Thank you for being there for her." Evan's voice was warm. "I wouldn't be anywhere else." After they hung up, Edith sat on the couch. Liana was already asleep. She thought about the past year. The fear. The court battles. The slow, careful rebuilding. It had not been easy. But they had made it work. And Liana was thriving. That was all that mattered. 2 years later. Liana was 11 now. Confident. Brilliant. Loved. She spent every other weekend with Evan. They had routines. Traditions. Inside jokes. Evan had learned to be a father. Not a perfect one. But a present one. And Edith had learned to share her daughter without losing her. One Saturday, Evan and Edith sat together at Liana's soccer game. It was the first time they had sat together without tension. Liana scored a goal. They both jumped up and cheered. When they sat back down, Edith spoke. "She's happy." "Yeah. She is." "You did good, Evan." Evan shook his head. "We did good." Edith smiled. "Yeah. We did." After the game, Liana ran over. "Did you see? Did you see?" Evan picked her up and spun her around. "We saw. You were amazing." Liana laughed. When he put her down, she looked at both of them. "Can we all get ice cream? Together?" Edith and Evan exchanged a glance. Then Edith nodded. "Yeah. We can do that." They went to the ice cream shop. Sat together. Talked and laughed. And for the first time, they felt like a family. Not a traditional one. But a real one. Built on honesty. Patience. And the understanding that love comes in many forms. The signature that changed everything. 3 years after Edith first asked for a passport, she sat at her kitchen table with Liana. Liana was applying for a summer program. Another international opportunity. Edith handed her the application. "You'll need both signatures." Liana took it. Filled in her information. Then paused. "Do you think Dad will sign?" Edith smiled. "I know he will." Liana finished the form. Looked up at her mother. "I'm lucky, aren't I?" Edith's eyes filled. "Why do you say that?" "Because I have 2 parents who love me. Even if it took them a while to figure it out." Edith pulled her daughter close. "Yeah, sweetheart. You are." That weekend, Liana brought the form to Evan. He read it. Smiled. Signed without hesitation. "Another adventure?" "Yeah. I'm proud of you." Liana hugged him. "Thanks, Dad." When Edith picked up Liana, Evan handed her the signed form. "She's incredible." Edith nodded. "She is. Thank you for letting me be part of this." Edith's voice was gentle. "Thank you for showing up." Evan smiled. "Always." As they drove away, Liana looked at her mother. "Do you think things worked out the way they were supposed to?" Edith thought about it. "I think things worked out the way we made them work. Together." Liana nodded. "I like that." "Me too, baby." Me too. Some stories start with a signature. Others start with a secret. This one started with both. A passport application that required a father's consent. A billionaire who did not know he had a daughter. And a mother who had spent 9 years protecting a child from a man who was not ready to be a father. Edith Lindell learned that sometimes the past does not stay buried. That some truths demand to be spoken. And that asking for help does not mean surrendering control. It means trusting that the people you love can grow. Evan Harlowe learned that power means nothing if you do not have people to share it with. That being a father is not about rights or biology. It is about showing up. Consistently. Humbly. Even when it is hard. And Liana learned that family is not about perfection. It is about people who choose each other. Every single day. If this story reminded you that some of the best relationships are the ones we have to fight for, share it. Tag someone who showed up when it mattered. Someone who chose presence over pride. And subscribe to Mr. Ellington Love Lines, where every story proves that love is not a feeling. It is a series of choices made over time. Now go. Show up for the people who matter. Sign the forms. Answer the calls. Be present. Because some of the most important things you will ever do will feel small in the moment. But they will echo for a lifetime. A passport is just a document. But the choice to sign it, that is where everything begins.